In this video, we'll show you how to install an aftermarket PMX HD14 on a 2018 Street Glide Standard. The Rockford Fosgate PMX source unit is ready to go right out of the box, eliminating any requirement to flash it. This will allow you to experience the full potential of your audio system the way it was meant to be. Now, on our motorcycle, we already have a Rockford Fosgate stage kit installed, but the process we're going to show you will be the same no matter what system is installed. We'll get started by removing the seat using a number 2 screwdriver. Then we'll use a 1/2-inch socket to remove the ECU cradle out of the way to access the battery. Now once that's done, you can use a 10mm socket or Phillips screwdriver to disconnect the battery terminals. Now we're ready to remove the fairing. First, we'll install the service cover on the fender. Then we'll use a T27 Torx driver to remove the 4 screws on the inside and 3 bolts that hold the visor in place. Now it's best to have 2 people in this step, one to hold the fairing in position and the other to remove the screws. Once we pull up on the fairing, we'll disconnect any harnesses and remove it from the bike. Now that that's done, we're ready to remove the factory radio and prep for installation of our PMX source unit. On our motorcycle, we have the Stage 5 kit, so we'll first need to disconnect the instrument panel wiring harness, then remove the M5 amplifier. Let's start by removing the front air diverter using a T25 Torx. Next, we'll cut any zip ties holding the wiring around the amplifier and disconnect the cluster gauge harnesses. Now we'll use a 2.5mm Allen wrench and a 1/8-inch Allen driver to remove the amplifier and heatsink bracket. Once that's done, we'll use a 10mm socket to remove the 4 standoffs and finish removing the cluster harness. Next, we'll remove the metal support bracket. Start by using a T25 to remove the 3 screws holding the cluster gauge in place. Next, remove the 5 screws holding the support bracket in place using a T25 Torx. 2 are located on each side of the speaker pods, and 1 is located on the lower left, retaining the USB housing. Now you're ready to remove the metal bracket and the instrument cluster. Okay, we're ready to remove the existing radio. First, disconnect the wiring from the back of the radio, then use a 3/16 Allen driver to remove 4 screws securing the radio in place. Now let's cover what's included in the PMX source unit kit. We've included 2 faceplate bezels, one for each fairing type. Now this one is for a shark nose fairing, and this one is for a batwing fairing. We also included hardware to secure the radio and hardware to secure the trim bezel in place. We've also included a subwoofer harness that plugs into the sub-out DSR, which is the input for the sub-amplifier. All right guys, now we're ready to install our PMX source unit. With the Rockford Fosgate logo oriented at the bottom, snap the bezel in place and secure it using the provided screws and screwdriver. Next, we suggest using a microfiber cloth and clean the fairing to remove any dust. Carefully insert the radio, making sure not to scratch the faceplate or bezel. Now slide the isolator over the screw and loosely insert each one using a 3/16 Allen driver. Once all the screws are positioned, secure the radio in place by tightening all of them. Now we're ready to reinstall the amplifier. We'll get started by inserting the cluster gauges, then replace the metal support bracket, reinstall the amplifier in heatsink bracket, and finally secure the amplifier in place. Now we're ready to remove the factory USB port and install the new one. Detach the cable and pull the USB harness through the fairing pocket. Now take the new USB and insert it through the fairing pocket and secure the grommet in place. Now we're ready to make our wiring connections. Reattach the main harness to the radio, then snap the antenna in place. Now connect the subwoofer adapter to the RCAs labeled subwoofer line out. On our Street Glide, we'll be installing the standard subwoofer kit later. This adapter will be ready to plug into the subwoofer input harness labeled sub out DSR. Now that we have that covered, we'll continue by cleaning up our wiring. Now we'll make our battery connections. Be sure the gas tank harnesses are connected before proceeding to prevent any error codes. All right guys, now we're ready to test and tune the system. We offer a tuning guide that's available in the product details page of our website and in the description of this video below. Follow the tuning guide to select the proper audio kit preset for your system. Follow any testing procedures and make any adjustments as needed. Now that everything is working properly, let's finish reassembling our motorcycle and get this back out on the road. As you can see, that install is pretty straightforward, right? But if you prefer a professional do the install for you, we have a network of authorized Rockford Fosgate dealers that can be found on our website. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact our technical support. They can be reached Monday through Friday at 1-800-669-9899. or through live chat at the bottom of our website at rockfordfosgate.com. I'm Eric, and we'll see you soon.